Hello, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about insulins, particularly the fast insulins or these guys, the super fast ones. But are they any good? Let's find out. Yes, welcome back. So fast insulin, such as that one, Fiasp or Fiasp, and that one, which is, oh yeah, I think, yeah, Lyumjev. So those are the two I'm going to focus on today. Those are the two insulins that I've used in the last few years, since 2021, in fact. So just before we start, let me say that this is not a paid advertisement, a paid partnership, an affiliation. I'm not sponsored and I do not work for insulin companies. So it's just how I feel about the insulins, and I'm going to talk about how you feel about them as well. And, if you find it useful, fantastic. That's good. So let's begin. So if you have type 1 diabetes, perhaps if you have type 2 diabetes, you'll need to use a mealtime insulin, a bolus insulin. And that's considered a fast acting insulin. That might be something like Humalog or Novo or one of the other. I think there's maybe half a dozen or so, maybe more types of fast acting insulin. In the last few years, we've seen the emergence of things such as Lyumjev and Fiasp or Fiasp, and they become quite popular, particularly amongst pump users and closed loop users. They seem to be perfectly matched for using the latest technology for people with type 1 diabetes. So are they fast? Are these things, are these insulins supercharged Banting juice, if you like? Well, for me, yes. So I started using Fiasp or Fiasp. I'm going to go with Fiasp instead of saying two things. I've been using Fiasp since 2021, and I started using it in a pump. And you may find, if you are using a pump, that you are advised not to use Fiasp. That's because it can kind of get a little bit gunky and clog up your tubing, supposedly. I never noticed that. So I started using it in 2021 and only stopped using it at the end of last year. So 2 years of using Fiasp in two types of tubed pumps and once for a short while in a patch pump. And it was only at the end of last year, maybe 18 months into using Fiasp, did I start to notice some issues with it. Now, it was working as expected. So it's a super fast insulin compared to the likes of Humalog. Um, the issue that I noticed was after 2 days, perfect. 48 hours, absolutely perfect. And I would get into the third day as we head towards 72 hours when you should set change. Most people are going to set change their pump cannula, the tubing, on at that time. As I headed towards 72 hours, Fiasp became less effective. And my pump was quite active, my closed loop was quite active, and in giving myself more insulin to get within to my target numbers. So I only noticed that because I have technology to monitor my blood glucose. So I have Dexcom and I have Gluco, so I can see what's going on. I know where my blood sugars are, and I know how much insulin I'm using. And it was on that third day, that's day two and a half, maybe, when my insulin dosage was just edging up a little more. So okay, I know that can be a thing. I've heard people make complaints, not complaints as such, but note that Fiasp can be less effective the longer that it's in use. So I asked some questions with to my peers, and they mentioned this this one, Lyumjev, and we moved on to that one. So let's talk about Fiasp to begin with. Anyway, so what makes it quick? Why is it supercharged? Why is it not just like any fast acting insulin? Well, um, there's a couple of things that have been added to it. They're quite long words. One of them's a vitamin, so let's go with that, and the other one's an amino acid. So if you want to know what those are, I'm going to put them down below, and you can go and investigate them, Google them, and do whatever you want, I guess. But that's what's in that insulin to make it fast, super quick. And it is super quick. It is fast. So with a normal bolus, you might take what 20 minutes, 15 minutes, sometimes longer, half an hour, I guess, some people, before having a meal. So lunch is coming, dinner's coming, and you're looking at your watch, and you bolus in time if you can for that meal. With Fiasp, that's less of an issue. It's not an instant insulin. It doesn't work whack immediately. It happens within a few minutes, for me at least. So with absorption and insulin on board and carbs, and all of those factors have to be considered. And then is Fiasp working at a certain speed for you? For me, usually I could bolus for my meals or snacks, coffee, a few minutes in advance with Fiasp, and it would begin to work. So it's that fast. Just a few minutes was usually okay. Until, as I mentioned, we got to beyond day 2, and then things became less effective, which is, a good third of my diabetes life. And I want my insulin to be working as expected all the time. So we've got, I tweeted, well, we don't tweet anymore, do we? We post these days, don't we? So I posted about a week ago asking for people's opinions on insulins, fast acting insulins. I'm just going to load a few up for you now. I think they'll appear over here somewhere, or maybe over there. Okay, so let's begin. So Linda kindly answered me, and she said she switched to Fiasp after using Novo only this month, so new to Fiasp, or um, in the last month or so. And she's had digestion issues, which have slowed down after having type 1 after 50 years. So, yeah, I've kind of heard that can happen as well. It meant that she was having hypos 30 minutes after eating. So I guess Linda would have a meal, take on the carbs, and the insulin would hit, but the carbs don't. And that can be an issue, and that's going to cause hypo. So moving to Fiasp, hopefully that's going to work for you, Linda. Let's move to the next one. Baby spice, yes, my my lunch cake, not coffee, tea, mate. She said she found Fiasp works much better with closed loop. The tail was a bit shorter, so that's good when you've got higher blood sugars to fix. Yes, it does. Yes, it is. Like many insulins, it works well at certain BG numbers. Yes, absolutely. So with Fiasp, I've noticed when you've got a high blood glucose, it seems to take a little more than you might expect to get that back down. And then you've got the issues of stacking insulin and potentially a hypo on the back of that. So something to be keeping an eye on. Don't stack insulin. It's a bad idea. I know it's so difficult to be patient sometimes, but you're so likely to have a hypo. She also says that, yeah, closed loop and Fiasp complement each other as well. So yeah, they do. They do. Having been on closed loop for 8 months or so, yes, when Fiasp was working well and not getting a little slow on the third day, those first 2 days, perfect. No complaints at all. Let's have a look at another one. Wendy, yes, she's been on Fiasp for the last year. Of using Novo Slow. Finding it a little bit quicker in the daytime and the evening time, but early mornings seems to need half an hour to kick in. And who has half an hour to waste in the morning? I mean, who has half an hour to wait for their coffee? Well, no, nobody does. So I don't know why that might be. Yeah, sometimes we have foot on the floor with type 1 diabetes, don't we, when we get that spike in the morning? Maybe there's a spike going on and it just takes a little longer to come back. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But thanks for that one, Wendy. Kathleen. So she's been on Fiasp for the last few years. Um, and she's going to move on to Lyumjev. I'm going to talk about Lyumjev next in a minute or two. So she lives with IAPS, and both working well, and two excellent A1Cs there, 5.9 and 6.1 with Fiasp. So hopefully that continues when you move over, Kathleen, to Lyumjev. Andy Pandy. Fiasp has been a game changer. Yeah, I felt the same. Absolutely. Fast insulins do help with type 1. Since using Humalog, Andy used to use Humalog. So it's faster with a shorter tail. So the onset is quick and the tail is shorter. That's helping him with his Daphne dosing. Looking forward to his HbA1c at clinic next month. Good luck, Andy. I hope the number is kind to you. Nick, lately, my body seems stubborn when it comes to Fiasp. It's taking so long for that to work, which means lots of highs. Okay. Plus others mentioned the issues with stacking, and we just talked about stacking, didn't we? Yeah, I wonder whether you could switch to Lyumjev, Nick, and maybe that would help. As I said, Fiasp worked well for me. It was just that couple of days it was fine, and then the third day it stopped. I wonder whether something's going on of a similar nature. I don't know if you inject or you pump or whatever, but maybe talk to your DSN, talk to your diabetes team. You should have access to Lyumjev as you have access to Fiasp. Find out. Maybe that will help. Okay, just got a few more. Who else have we got? Now, Dave mentions a good point here, Dave Sowerby. So he wants his fast insulin to be immediate, don't we all? I wonder whether we're talking sort of here about smart insulins, whether that's sort of next gen insulin. Something people have mentioned that it could be an insulin injection, an insulin that you pump into you that stays dormant and only works as your normal non-diabetic, if you wish, not normal. Insulin might work, which acts when it needs to. So that would be, I don't know, AI, nanobots maybe, or something like that. So smart insulin would be cool, and for that to work quickly. So is it super fast? Yeah, I mean, it's all subjective. What's fast and what's super fast and what's slow? We want insulin to work as if our body's made it, don't we? And it's not there. Yeah, it's closer to it. Yeah, these things are closer for me. Fiasp and Lyumjev are closer than Novo and Humalog and all the others. But maybe the next step, maybe that smart insulin, it could be something to talk about in the coming years as we advance with technology. So moving along, Martin just answers Dave there to say that, yeah, Lyumjev is faster than Fiasp. Yes, it is, as much as I can tell as well. And you can check some charts and things online. There's quite a few tables, and you can see when the onset begins, where the peak is, and where the tail is as well. So quite easy to find. Just go and Google. Thanks, Dave and Martin. Max. So they're having issues when it comes to high blood sugars, and getting them back down with fast acting insulin. Yeah, I mean, I'm exactly the same. It's so difficult to be patient, and we mentioned stacking twice now. So yeah, it seems quite a common thing. Don't stack insulin. You've got to stay patient. It's one of those things that's so difficult to do. It's a bit like hypos. We're told take 15 carbs, 20 carbs, be patient, test in 10 minutes, do it again. Instead of waking up at 2 a.m. and feeding your face with like 60 carbs all at once, and then, why is my blood sugar super high? Why is my blood sugar super low when you stack? Well, it's because you've stacked. And I know that, and it's difficult to not do that. But if you can be patient, it would help. But I completely understand that, Max. Thanks for that post. Kez loves Fiasp. Yeah, me too. I mean, despite, if it worked It's for 72 hours, the life of a cannula and a set change. Yeah, I would too. It's just those two, that third day, the first 2 days, perfect. She uses a pump, but not closed loop. She doesn't have any issues with blockages, and it doesn't seem to go bad easily, which is perfect. So I hope that continues, Kez. Let's just do one or two more. I think this might be the last one. This is Lisa. After 20 years on Humalog, she changed to Lyumjev in August, so a similar time to me, actually, Lisa. No more spikes post meals. Yeah, same. Amazing, isn't it? What else is better there? And it tends to work better. HbA1c down to 49. I can't work that out in whatever we use. That's going to be about 6.7% or something, 6.8 maybe. So, good HbA1c. And the downsides is it can cause a sting. Yes. I'm going to talk about that next. So thanks for that, Lisa. So let's talk about Lyumjev. Well, the video is getting quite long, isn't it? Yeah. Let's talk about that. Lyumjev. Yeah. So, like Lisa mentioned, causes a sting. It does. Um, I don't always notice that. I think it's sort of site dependent. So, if you use Lyumjev, do you put it on your tummy or your legs or your arms or your behind or your love handles, or where do you pump? I think most people usually pump on their core, on their tummy. That's my usual go-to place as well. Some parts of my tummy have been hammered with injections after type 1 for nearly 40 years. And I think there's more sting to the pump when Lyumjev is happening, when the bolus is going in, not so much when the basal is just ticking over with the pump. And also not so much when the bolus is a small amount. I find anything over 2 units of Lyumjev for me, I'm noticing a little pinch. Some notice more. I've heard people call it pain that stings like the fires of hell, which I haven't noticed personally. I don't know what the fires of hell sting like, but I imagine it's quite painful. Um, it's noticeable. Sometimes it might make me flinch a little bit. So I guess it depends where you are with pain, what you can usually handle, what you're used to when it comes to inserting a pump cannula, and all of those things which do cause pain. Um, I noticed the same on Lyumjev with Fiasp as well, that there was to begin with a sting. And that seemed to edge away over time to the point where there was no sting at all. If that's the body becoming accustomed to it, I don't know. If it's becoming less effective, I don't know. It just seemed to be over time. Fiasp didn't sting as much. It's Lyumjev is similar to me. It's usually the bigger boluses that sting, that hurt. So what else? What else about Lyumjev? It's fast. Martin mentioned when he answered Dave, didn't he? It's fast. Yeah, it's faster than Fiasp. And you've got to be careful. You cannot be sort of cooking away in the kitchen thinking, do you know what? Dinner's going to be done in 10 minutes. I'll bolus now. Bad idea with Lyumjev. You're going to go hypo. Um, I didn't, I'd been on the cusp of doing that. I was more cautious, and I would suggest if you are moving to Lyumjev, be cautious to begin with. So maybe you start bolusing as you begin to eat, or you're halfway into the meal, or just before. It's not medical advice. Deal with your insulin as you think is best for you, because it will work as it should for you. Like all insulins do. Like certain times happen with other insulins, certain longevities and onsets and tails, and nobody's the same. They're all a similar sort of thing, and that might be the case with Lyumjev. It'll be a similar thing for you, that it works quickly. It might sting, it might not, but just if you're moving to it and you're new to it, I would suggest just be cautious about when you bolus for food. avoid stacking if you can, as we keep saying. When you're high, I noticed when I'm high, um, it's less stubborn than Fiasp. It still needs a bit more work. You're still going to need to pay attention and give yourself a good lump of insulin, for want of a better term. Again, just be cautious because you will stack and you will go hypo quite quickly with Lyumjev. However, it's good insulin. I'm sticking with it. I use it on closely. That's going to be the end of the video today. So I hope you liked that one. If you did, click the like button down below. It costs you nothing. It's not a sponsored video. Leave a comment. I'll answer you. Comments down below in the little field down below. Leave a comment. Tap that notification bell, and then you'll see videos as they come up in future. And you can sub to the channel like millions of you have. Hit that button as well. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching and take care. Bye for now.